It is a brisk October evening here at Championship Field in Seattle, Washington, where tonight the undefeated in their last 7 Seattle University Redhawks play host to the Air Force Falcons. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on the WAC Digital Network. I'm Andrew Harvey, alongside Arnie Klebrud. Let's take a look at the starting 11 for the Air Force Falcons, as named by head coach Doug Hill. In goals, Kainoa likewise. The defenders, London Agadou, Julian Flores, Reese Cook, and Jared Dove. The midfield, Luke Hill, Giuliano Daniel, JT DiMidio, and Nick Blessing, and a forward pair of Lathan Spadafora and Tristan Traeger. For Pete Fewing's Redhawks, Akili Kasim's in goal. The back line from left to right, Case Westra, Alex Acton-Petronotis, Nikosi Burgess, and Thomas McCoskey. The holding mids, Hal Uteritz and Julian Avila-Good. The forward band of Cody Buchanan, James Morris, and Declan McGlynn. And the man up top is Noe Meza. Redhawks in the black kits with white lettering. We'll move from left to right on your screen here in the first half. The Falcons in all white headed back the other way. Alejandro Mariscal wanted to get us underway. Noe Meza, too quick off the line there. Arnie, it's one of those things where obviously players just chomping at the bit to get into the action, but you got to still be on your side of the field when the ball moves. Seattle coming into this match, pardon me, Arnie, 8-3-3, 5 wins, 1 draw. No losses in WAC play so far.
I think being in WAC play has been a welcome sight for Seattle University. Very difficult preseason schedule. Coming across against some of the country's best. Coming to WAC play, they've been on form, no question about it, Andrew.
This is McCoskey here.
Morris. And we talk about on form. We talk about Morris has been a kid that Coach Fewing was very disappointed. He went down with an injury early in the year coming out of England, the birthplace of soccer. He has come on gangbusters and provided that little something that every soccer team needs, goals.
Yeah, provided a big something in that sense down at CSU Bakersfield. Scored all 3 goals for the Redhawks in a 3-2 win. Earned him the United Soccer Coaches Player of the Week nod. Of course, Declan McGlynn, Noe Meza have also pumped in a bunch for Seattle U this season. Redhawks, one of 2 teams in the country to have 3 players that have scored at least 6 goals. Clemson's the other one.
And I think depth has been a big key to Seattle University's success so far. A lot of good players. They attack with 6, and a lot of depth in that attacking 6. They don't tend to make a lot of changes in their back, kind of their back 5 arrangement as it currently is. But a lot of competition in the attacking front.
McCoskey tries to slide that ball forward, looking for Morris, comes right back to him. Avila Good, back to Nikosi Burgess. One thing that we can tend to expect out of Air Force cadets is that they are very fit and usually capable of going the full 90 with very little trouble, Arnie.
Good team over the years. Last year, though, went to the NCAA tournament, had a second-round draft pick in the MLS draft. However, lost 7 seniors. And so that's going to change the trajectory of your team dramatically. Coach Fewing not super worried about this game, but I think you're absolutely right. The manner in which they play, direct, organized, fit, is going to cause problems for any team.
Tucker Bone, of course, being that high-round draft pick into Major League Soccer, was drafted by the Seattle Sounders. didn't wind up signing for them. He currently plies his trade for Colorado Springs Switchbacks FC in the USL Championship.
Tell me a little bit more about that. How does that happen when one signs with... One's drafted by one club?
Well, more on that in a moment as Likewise comes up with a point-blank save on Declan McGlynn. And you see it happening more and more these days with academy systems filling out. Fewer and fewer draft picks winding up signing with the MLS teams that do draft them, but the expansion in the USL Championship just making it more and more viable for guys to keep playing professional soccer. Or I guess I should say coming out of the NCAA to start playing professional soccer in the United States. And in Bones' case, the decision that was reached basically came back to his military service, and that being in Colorado Springs made it a lot easier for him to fulfill the service requirements that were part of his commitment to the Air Force, while still also playing professional soccer.
Well, that's an interesting sidebar on the state of collegiate soccer. You see, you hear about these teams like Salt Lake that are getting more minutes than ever before out of academy products, and it's interesting, right? It's interesting to think about, and where does college soccer play in the development of guys? And
great ball into McGlynn from Burgess there. He's held up. Comes top side. Touch for Uteritz. He can't bring it through traffic. Morris turns. He could be in here Likewise off his line. Morris has gone down. And the referee said that it was a clean tackle.
For me, there's no way that's a clean tackle. Goalkeeper coming straight across Morris's legs. Unbelievable. And I think my sentiment is shared by many of the Seattle University supporters.
Well, we have some homers on hand. It is alumni night after all. But we'll take it. We'll see if we can't get a better look at that here in just a moment. It certainly seemed that Likewise came to the ball, and at the very least from our angle did not appear like he got there.
And I think Morris has been somewhat of a pleasant surprise for Seattle University. He's been a guy that's been hurt with, I think it's been a wrist injury. Coach Fewing had high hopes for him coming in. He takes an injury in preseason. Comes on just gangbusters. And it's not so much the way he looks to... The way he looks at the goal and the way he has finished his goals is just next level, right? He's not looking for a shot on goal. He's looking to actually score a goal, and that's been somewhat unique, as unique as that sounds.
Jared Dove tips that over the bar with his head. It'll be a second corner for Seattle U. McGlynn to take it from the far side. And the whistle's gone for a free kick in favor of Air Force inside the box. Hal Uteritz quickly over to speak with referee Alejandro Mariscal, who is not making himself many friends here at Championship Field, at least not among the Seattle University contingent.
Been a quick on the trigger here with the whistle. Seattle University riding a 5-0-1 record coming into WAC play. I think they feel like this conference is theirs and want to assert this here tonight. Certainly key, Andrew, is that the conference tournament is going to be played at Colorado Springs, which is at elevation. Today, it was 32 degrees and 15 overnight. That has a major impact on any player moving forward.
Definitely getting the opportunity to lock up that bye, so important. There's a shot through traffic, gets beyond Likewise, gets beyond the right post as well.
I think that bye is key, but I also think that preseason scheduling that Coach Fewing was so aggressive in acquiring what's that going to do for them? If they tend to stumble in that conference tournament, are they going to be able to recover and still earn a berth? And will a strong performance in the WAC regular season be able to provide that for them?
No unimportant matches in college soccer. This one definitely lives up to that expectation. These two teams have really made a habit of testing each other pretty intensely over the last few years. Ball finds Flores. He's quickly dispossessed. They cut it near side to McCoskey. Here's Morris. Like you mentioned, that wrist injury. You can see the left arm bandaged up.
Seattle University playing this, I'd call it a traditional or untraditional back six. They play the 4 and then the 2 holding midfielders.
This is McGlynn. McGlynn off his right foot, deflected in traffic, and knocked away. Came off Jared Dove.
Seattle University typically will send one of the two. They'll send Avi LaGood or a Uteritz forward. Uteritz was unbelievable in the second half of last year. Kind of coming from nowhere, really not really a impact on the squad early on, and came in the game. Came into the side late last year and provided so much offense in kind of an unexpected way, right? A lot of back post runs, a lot of physicality that Seattle University just didn't have.
There goes Spatafora. Down goes Spatafora, and it's a free kick for the Falcons. Quickly taken. And it's fanned to the far side. Agadou is there. He helps it further along. Here's Traeger. And he's dribbled it over the line. Gone out for a goal kick.
And I kind of call Air Force a traditional collegiate side in terms of big, strong, physical, very direct and his style of play. I think for them, losing 7 seniors, including a high MLF draft pick, is going to be, a major loss for them. Coach Fewing did not seem too worried about this squad. I don't want to acknowledge that before the game, but certainly feel like Seattle University is a bit superior in terms of technical ability, man for man.
McCoskey doesn't have to fight off Demidio there. Buchanan here. Meza.
I think Buchanan is a great story. A guy that's a fifth-year senior. Played a lot of minutes for Seattle University, but scored 2 huge goals for SU over the last couple of games and has fought himself back into the lineup.
That's one of the great things about the depth on this Red Hawks squad is the competition for playing time is so fierce. Players that have been on the Pine usually have something spectacular up their sleeve when they get in because they're doing everything they can to prove they should be out there more.
Yeah, especially that, kind of that attacking 5. You better be thinking about doing some work on any given night, because there's guys breathing down your neck for playing time. No doubt about that. We got guys the likes of Burke Failing that started the season.
Demidio, his ball intercepted there by Case Westra. Westra's gone over the top. Morris going to run onto this ball, but it's taken him wide.
I'm going to give myself a little bit of credit on Case Westra. I'll pause on that comment until...
Meza's gone far post and missed part of the interruption, Arnie.
No, I'll pause on that comment until this attacking play comes. I think that one of the biggest issues, you play a Castrillon or a Acton Petronotis out wide. He doesn't have that natural left foot, and I felt like so much of the play was unbalanced to the right side. When they put Case Wester in, I felt like the play was much more balanced for Seattle University and much more dangerous.
Here's Traeger.
I would add that Coach Fielding didn't agree with me. However, he is still playing Case Westra. So I would say at least he's thinking about it.
You got the direct line to the president's desk there. It's the red phone rings. It's Arnie Klebrud.
Seems so. I did call him. At 5 p.m. prior to our Hall of Fame committee meeting, and he answered. I'd like to think that phone is still intact.
Redhawks trying to fight their way into the front foot here. This is Buchanan. Ball in, was looking for Meza at the back post. Now they've looped it forward for Spadafora. Comes inside for Traeger. And lifted up and away by Avila Good. Spadafora. Closed down by Uteritz. Tries to slide it through, looking for Demidio there. It's going to go all the way out for a goal kick.
Cody Buchanan was a guy that Nathan Ani was very tight with. Nathan Ani now playing with the Reno USL team. Certainly a distinguished career at Seattle University. Big talented center back. Love Cody Buchanan. Always advocated for playing time for Cody. Really nice to see Cody make a difference.
Here's Morris. He'll cut it all the way back to McCoskey. Inside for Uteritz. Acton Petronotis.
I like the back pairing of Burgess and Petronotis. I mean, early on in the season it was Tesler. But I really like this pair. They tried to move Acton Petronotis out wide left. Didn't quite have the same impact. Coach Fielding has some options at his disposal.
Avila Good. Down line from Morris. Dove there first.
I think you could argue, though, that the preseason schedule is much more difficult than at least you would hope, right? Than the conference schedule.
Absolutely. Yeah, road games at Indiana.
I think that's probably their top, result. 0-0 shows that they can play with the big boys and not give up big numbers. I think the one that stings is the University of Washington game, 3-0. I said at that broadcast that this team looks the part. And sure enough, they are number one in the nation. Looked every bit of it against Seattle University.
Just kind of a real shame if you think about it that the NCAA tournament obviously is so regionalized in the early rounds because these two programs have kind of cannibalized one another the last couple years. Ball in from Buchanan there, blocked out for a corner.
Yeah, let's be honest. Soccer doesn't have the same kind of dollars at hand for the NCAA to be able to move teams around like they do in the basketball tournament. It's been an issue, right? Even in Dean Wurzburger's era at the University of Washington, it was University of Portland under Clive Charles. Time after time would cannibalize them.
Dove wins that header. Acton Petronotis controls it on the backside. Westra serves in a lower ball, flicked on for Burgess just in front of goal. Likewise is there for the stop. Out as far as Avila Good.
Unbelievable. Burgess making a run through, and if he is in any other spot, that is a goal. 1-0 for Seattle University.
Another header, this time trying to link up with Buchanan. Early danger from the Redhawks. They have 5 shots here over the first 20 minutes.
And in weeks past, we've seen kind of Burke failing on the right wing. Noe Meza up in that number 9. Now it's James Collins just coming onto the scene, and Noe Meza floating out of the right. Noe Meza isn't the most crafty of players, but the quality of his strike is undeniable. When he gets a little bit of time and space, he is as good as they get. And we look at Declan McGlynn early on in the season, under 19 national team kid. You know, we expect a ton from him. Super positive in the way he plays, looking to play 1v1, 1v2, even 1v3. He's looking to take guys on, but had a really good run of form here lately. I think Coach Fewing wouldn't dare change that back 6. You know, you got Burgess, Acton Petronotis, McCoskey out wide right, Keith Westra really solid, but then they sit those 2 deep number 6s. Hal Uteritz, Avi LaGood. Looking for one of the 2 to get forward. I still think Avi LaGood has a good 5 or 6 goals in him on the year if he can put it on frame from distance, 20, 22 yards out. Hal Uteritz, we expect getting that back post, not in the ball back or into the goal.
Meza wins the first ball. Here's McGlynn. He's gone for goal. That one takes a deflection. Winds up being a kind one for Likewise. Tough to tell from our angle if McGlynn's effort was bound for the net, but after coming off a defender, just drops right into the goalkeeper's hands.
Kind of McGlynn in a nutshell, though. Doesn't really matter. He's going forward.
Meza slides in, wins the ball. I'm just trying to slice it right in there, looking for Buchanan. And this front 5 for Seattle University, Arnie, is just kind of shifting all over the place. They're sort of playing as if they have set positions, but it also looks like they might have been given the green light by Pete Fewing and Nate Dalicon here to freestyle a little bit.
Yeah, I think always a positive when give your players opportunity to move around, find space. Coaches have very little influence on game day, don't they, Andrew? You know, you do your work. I was coaching my little under 10 rec team, and I told them, you know, I was like, coaches have very little influence on game day. All I can do is during practice, and you gotta be able to coach your guys how to make decisions and understand the impact of a game. So better you can do that with your players, and coach always does that.
Meza. Avila good. He's fought off the ball here by Traeger. McCoskey comes in with a blindside tackle and gets it back.
That's really good stuff by Seattle University. Move ball, 1 and 2 touch. Really clinical stuff. I think the issue for Seattle University early on in the season is an inability to switch the point of attack. When we looked at the University of Washington, who, to all credit, #1 team in the nation, just seemed to box Seattle University into one side of the field, did not let them switch the point of attack whatsoever. Clearly a point of emphasis for Seattle University. Against Air Force, much better. But in all fairness, I've told everybody I saw that watched at University of Washington, this is a team that could win it this year. And Jamie Clark believes it.
McGlynn looping it forward for McCoskey. Cross comes behind Morris. He'll drop it back to Avila Good. Low ball driven in, headed right back out by Reese.
In an article this morning in the Seattle Times about Jamie Clark and Pete Fewing, Jamie Clark mentioned the two teams that were in the final game, Maryland and Akron, University had beat that year 2-0 apiece. Seattle University itself had beat Akron. I think that College Cup is a very, very difficult task. Soccer, in any sport, you just look at the Sounders versus LAFC, you would give the Sounders a chance. Even though LAFC is so much better, Seattle Sounders have that opportunity to kind of pack it in the back and make it difficult. If there's any sport that you could pull off the upset, it is the game of soccer.
Yeah, over the span of 90 minutes, anything can happen. And so far, though, over the span of 24 here, it's been all Seattle U. Air Force going to make their first change.
This is a much different Air Force team from last year. A lot of talent leaving the program. But nonetheless, a fit, strong, physical team. Going to battle the entire 90 minutes. Can Seattle University get that goal to put them on the heels?
Michael Nexshoe, the player on for Air Force.
And SU kind of shifting things around. James Collins now moving from the point forward out to that kind of left underneath guy.
McCoskey gets the underlapping ball from Noe Meza. He's contained by DeMidio.
I think Noe Meza, kind of like Rui Diaz, prefers that number 9 position where he can kind of get through the box and be on the end of things. But James Collins is proven his worth up in that position.
Sliding challenge from Dove, knocks the ball away from a charging Buchanan. Well, when Nikosi Burgess goes up for a header, you generally like his chances to win it, Arnie.
No doubt. But I think, when you look at next level, look at the professionals, when those big guys go up for a header, they typically find feet, Andrew. I don't know how it is at the USL level that you call so often, or it seems like it's a little thing, but it makes such a big difference in the game when he can knock down a header and find feet instead of finding space.
Well, the ability to win second balls is maybe one of the most overlooked or perhaps under-considered aspects of the game from people who don't have a deep understanding of it. So far, they've all gone Seattle U's way. Meza with it here against Reese Cook. Lays it down the line. Morris's cross is low. Played away. Comes toward Uteritz. He leaves it for Mikoski. Avila good. Looking for Uteritz down the line. The flag stays down. Uteritz's cross is low. And has gone out for a goal kick.
One would think, it's such a positive when these guys can watch an English Premier League game in the mornings, which I do with my sons. You watch a Mahrez or whoever cut that ball back to a De Bruyne, play it into the back post. I think everybody's looking for that, right? So a good opportunity for Seattle University in that fashion. Didn't quite happen. The execution wasn't quite there. You can't blame them. Ball's
gone wide for Nexshoe. He drops it back, looking for Agadoo, but it's tapped away there by Buchanan. He can't chase it down. Longer ball from Dove this time. Domidio is offside.
I think interesting thought here for Seattle University. 30 minutes in. What do? You got Collins, you got McGlynn, you got Meza. They haven't scored. You got a Cody Buchanan in the mix. 5 offensive players.
Space here from Meza. He picks up Buchanan. Buchanan turns and fires. That shot is blocked.
Always a kind of a, I don't know. You love competition and practice, but you kind of never feel like you want to be on the verge of being taken out in a game. It's interesting. So the competition has positives and negatives, right? I mean, it's I don't quite know how to articulate that, but for me, with so much depth in the attacking side of the ball, guys need to be taking chances. No doubt about it. Taking guys on one-on-one. Really aggressive in the press. Really high energy when they have the time, Andrew.
Advantage played for Air Force. Next shoe cuts inside and is dispossessed by Westra.
I'll tell you what, Coach Fewing's going to be thinking about it. He's going to be thinking about, hey, can Burke Phelan give me a little something? Can Ortiz give me something? It's interesting, right? Every coach wants to provide a competitive environment, but you really wanted to bring out the best in your guys, not to be just good enough, if that makes any sense.
Meza, the far side. McGlynn can't bring it down. That's rare for him. Elijah Bussey coming on now. Checks in for Domidio.
And Andrew, we talked a little bit about Seattle University's win against Kansas City, the last home win. We saw Billy Colello at the Chieftain afterwards, and definitely high on Collins.
McGlynn here, cutting to his right, finds Meza. He's tied up with a defender.
I think what he appreciated about Collins was he gets an opportunity. He doesn't just hit a straight ball. He's actually looking to beat the keeper. Sounds like a...
This one falls through for Buchanan. He plays it to McGlynn. McGlynn is through, and that one took a touch off the defender, stayed in play. Dove slid in, gets the ball away, only as far as Meza. Ties up with Bussey.
Seemed like a no-brainer for McGlynn. Credit to Air Force defense just closing the gap in a hurry. Looking to pick out that far post, and that window closed very, very very quickly.
Murkowski in on his left. Fights his way through a defender. Goes down, nothing given. They switch to the far side for Nekshu.
Kind of a blueprint for Air Force getting out of the back. Only one forward committed. They pick him out. Now they're in a dangerous position.
That one loose in front of goal, cleared away by Westra. Kasim came for the ball and didn't get there.
You know, a bit astonishing, if you're honest, right? I mean, it's Seattle University committing 9 forward, 2 back. the clearance ending up at the Air Force forward, and really, really dangerous counterattack and ensuing corner kick.
The throw-in finds Traeger, his shot blocked. Reese Cook pulls that out of a couple challenges. Meza sticks a foot in, gets the ball back. And in the end, it comes off of James Morris, out for another Air Force throw.
Pretty tricky corner kick from Air Force. Near post, but not your traditional near post run like Gustav Swenson for the Sounders.
Spadafora. I was trying to play Traeger through there. Traeger didn't make the run. Morris finds McGlynn down the line. He's around Dove, but Dove's recovering. Cuts into his left. Now back to his right. McGlynn can't beat likewise.
That's kind of McGlynn in a nutshell. Gets a little bit of space. He's not the fastest guy, but his first step is tremendous. Cuts back to the left, cuts back to the right. Just not quite enough angle for him to slot it in.
10 shots to 2 here over the first 35 minutes, favoring Seattle University.
We're used to seeing McGlynn on kind of that left side, kind of that Sadio Mane type location. They've slotted him. You know, they give him a bit of free reign, a little bit left, a little bit right. But we're used to seeing McGlynn kind of on that left side cutting in. He loves to cut in. I'm a big fan of the left-footed player because I was one, Andrew. I just think those left-footed players matter a little bit, you know. Left-sided back, Case Westra. Left-sided midfielder, we don't have one, so everything's cutting into the middle. Sergio Rivas was that left-footed guy that tended to drift things out to the left and provided a little more balance for Seattle University. This year they don't quite have it. Sometimes I don't think coaching staffs even realize it. Maybe I'm not giving him enough credit.
Traeger here is through. That one rolls wide of the left post, and Spadafora can't believe he hasn't turned that in.
And to me, that should have been a goal. That was easy pickings, a nice little cut ball back. Should have picked out that far post. Very, very fortunate for Seattle University. I don't think we expect a high-scoring game. You know, the typical Air Force team, big, strong, organized. I don't think we expect the big outburst from a scoring standpoint, but
Buchanan tried to go first time to McGlynn, taken over by James Morris as he drifts to the far sideline. Uteritz wants McGlynn. Let's try to chip that through. And once again, Arnie, that's kind of what you're talking about, is if they had a left footer or if McGlynn was left-footed, could have pulled off the shot there. Instead goes for the through ball.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that's, I don't know. I don't know if coaches think about it. I think they should, and they probably do. But you gotta, in our years it was, we played 3 in the back, so it was kind of 2 marking and 1 free. And then I was a left footer, and a guy named George Zarnowski was a kind of an underneath number 9 guy.
Meza chasing down Dove here.
I just think you got to be balanced as a club. When we look at the Sounders, I think they're balanced. I think they got a Smith and a Ladero and a
Redhawks have a Westra. Serves that into the back post. Knocked away that time, I believe, by Reese Cook. Here's Bussey.
It's kind of the same way guys talk about, like, managers, baseball managers. Say, hey, what do you –
Bussey, low shot. It's right at Kasim.
You know, go to clinics, these Mariner clinics. I don't know anything about baseball. I just played till I was in 8th grade, So you try to do some coaching clinics. It's like, hey, if your kid wants to make it to the next level, what do they got to do? And they're like, hey, turn them into a left-hand hitter. And so I think the point is you need balance. You need balance. I think it's important in the game of soccer like it is in the game of baseball.
McCoskey, Morris, Meza. Meza, square to McGlynn. Chipped over by Morris. Buchanan. Over hits the ball for Avila Good.
That's a great ball from Keith Westra, a little bending ball in.
Agadoo has it back for the Falcons. Skip ball toward Bussey, one away by McCoskey, taken over by Meza. McCoskey continues his run, gets the overlap. Morris calls for it along the byline. Nick Blessing gets it away as far as McCoskey. And now it's Bussey who's going to dribble down and try to draw some pressure. Avila Good. Low ball in. Under 5 to play here in the first half. 0-0 at Championship Field. And Bussey drifting to space to the near sideline. I don't think McCoskey sees him. I don't know if anybody does.
You always kind of worry about that with McCoskey. He's got free reign to move forward. Seattle University tends to be a bit overloaded on the right side. McCoskey loves to get forward. And then that back three of Burgess, Acton, Petronotis, and Keith Westra tend to stay a little bit home and shift.
Garrett Mioka, the Air Force junior from Seattle. Attended Shorewood High School, now on for the Falcons.
Shorewood having a good program over the years. I can't see anything. I got a lot of condensation through this window.
That's why I stand on the left, Arnie.
I'll give you no input. I got nothing for you. For Brian, looking for Brian and his staff to provide a little relief. It's as if somebody just blew on that windshield. And
here's Morris. Can't fight his way past Mioka.
For any of you that haven't been in Seattle, it's been nice this week, but rained a ton today. It's supposed to get night tomorrow. I don't know. Wreaking havoc with the Seattle University booth.
Westra jumps the route on the ball intended for Nexshoe. Uteritz for Avila Good. Meza. Meza tripped up, and that leads to the free kick.
We got 2:34 left on the clock. Unique with college soccer here. It's the countdown. For me, it's nothing dangerous from Air Force. Seattle University have been the dominant program, but I can't recall a really quality opportunity for Seattle University.
You have to think that entry ball in from the left side to the head of Nikosi Burgess.
Probably the best, huh?
Meza lays that off for McGlynn. He slides in, wins the ball, but Air Force comes away with it. Bussey can't get it beyond Acton Petronotis. Uteritz cleans it up Back to Westra.
But when we talk about big, strong, organized sides, isn't that what we expect a bit, right? It's going to expect something special from the Seattle University squad.
Left side for Buchanan. His cross finds Meza! Redhawks take the lead. The ball in from the left side from Cody Buchanan, and Seattle U scores in the 44th.
Just as I talked about something special, typically a left footer would take that to the end line, but a quick cutback, finding the head of Noe Meza, do we think?
It was Noe Meza on the goal. Grabs his 7th of the year, moves him back into the tie for the team lead.
And we're going to look for the WAC Digital Network to find a replay on this phenomenal opportunity. Cuts it back. Really nice glancing header to the back post. I talk about it all the time. 80% of goals are scored last 5 minutes, first 5 minutes of halves. Seattle University finding a really brilliant opportunity to go one up and provide them some momentum going into halftime.
And I'm being told now that it's Hal Uteritz who is to credit for that ball into Noe Meza. Likewise, comes for that ball and just barely gets it away. Morris down in the heat behind the run of play.
And how are you being told? Do you have an earpiece?
I do.
Do you?
Yeah, we got talkback now.
Seattle University coming up with new technology to Hal Uteritz. Hal Uteritz, not typically a guy that gets forward in the run of play, but gets forward, cuts it back, whips in a nice ball to Noe Meza. Glancing header. I got to tell you, it's a great feeling when you come into halftime with a 1-0 lead versus a 0-0 tie. That's why it's talked about, and for Seattle University, on the flip side, it's let's protect the first 5 minutes and make sure we don't let them back to level.
McGlynn gets that ball, finds Morris, immediately gets the return. Well-timed challenge there from Reese Cook, but McGlynn still gets it in front of goal. Might fall in at the backside here, just over the bar. Uteritz nearly grabbed a goal of his own. The countdown on. The Redhawks almost up 2-0 right at the break.
Very, very interesting. I don't know. I kind of feel like I'd love to see a replay on that. Possibly Uteritz should have done a little bit better. Ball seemingly dropping free and just a little bit high.
Through 45 minutes, Seattle U on top of Air Force 1-0. We'll take a break here on the WAC Digital Network.
I'm distraught not playing basketball. Since the moment that I've started playing basketball, I've never taken more than a month off from basketball. So it's basketball doesn't define me, but it's definitely been a journey of finding who I am without basketball. So that's a huge part of my excitement, to get that piece of myself back. I'm so thankful to have gotten this far and be so close, I can see the finish line now. It was October 5th, and I tried to Eurostep, and I just planted and twisted wrong, I guess. And with the impact a little bit from getting hit on my shoulder, I just kind of fell, and I was dragging myself to the baseline, and I was like, something's wrong. And I was like, my knee, and it felt hollow. I'll never forget that feeling. And I cried a lot, and it wasn't so much crying because it was painful. I just knew, this is bad. This is really bad. Jason came up, and he put me on crutches, and we went downstairs, and I wasn't even crying at that point anymore. It was just small sniffles, because I was like, my season's over. My season is over. And then a few days later, they confirmed that I tore my ACL. When I went there, he did the little knee movement. He was like, oh my gosh, I've never seen this much movement in a knee before. And I was like, oh, Nice. Well, so yeah, right after that, it just kind of crushed me because I don't know. I guess I still had a little bit of hope of playing, and it was my first year of really feeling comfortable on the court, and I was super excited for this past season. So it really crushed me. I'm not gonna lie, but it also really gave me like a new perspective to the game and to being a teammate. And I think that it's really only elevated my basketball IQ and elevated my game and my work ethic and everything, because I see the game completely different, like almost from a coach's standpoint, because I'm on the bench and I'm like, well, I'm not going in, so I can only view it from, well, how can I still help? How can I still be impactful? How can I still help my team? My team is like my sisters. Like, they definitely gave me that platform to be able to feel confident enough to do that. And like the fact that they could turn to me during practice and still ask me like, what is this play? Like, what are we doing? Like, it gave me that confidence. Like, they still recognize me as an equal, though I'm not playing with them. I never felt like I couldn't turn to them about my injuries. I never felt like I didn't have a shoulder to cry on if I needed one. Like, they were there for me undoubtedly. And I mean, like, it's just really beautiful to be in a program that I can find sisterhood and womanhood like that within. So I think that I'm on the blessed end of the spectrum, because I haven't really like lost my confidence or felt like I can't do this anymore. So finally month 5 hit and I got to start running, and it was like such a look up moment for me. Like, you're halfway there. Like, you're really gonna do this and you're gonna get there. Like, I have been like tunnel vision for 9.5 months. Like, I have to get my leg healthy. I have to get back as close to normal as I can, and it's all been a mental game. So every step you take is a huge improvement, and you get to do so much more, because it went from like, oh, we're gonna do elliptical, to now we're on the track, and now we're on the court and we get to do ball handling, and now I'm doing suicides, and it's just like constant improvement, and being able to see my progression just encourages me more. And I kind of feel like I have to reprove myself, and I mean, I'm totally down to do that, because I mean, I've been grinding for 9 months and it hasn't been for no reason. So my goals outside of myself, though, with the team, like, I want us to go back to the WAC tournament. I want us to be WAC champs. I want to go to the NCAA tournament again, and I see all of this. It's very feasible and reachable goals. So I'm so ready to play, and that's like what I'm saying. Like, I'm so blessed to be on that end of the spectrum where my mental is completely there and I'm not scared to play. I feel really good about my leg and about myself.
Welcome back into Championship Field here on the WAC Digital Network. The Redhawks have the job half done. A 1-0 lead against Air Force through 45 minutes. Andrew Harvey alongside Arnie Klebrud as Air Force in white is set to kick things off. Arnie, what do you think has to happen for Seattle U here in the second half, especially like you said, these first 5 minutes?
Yeah, I think more of the same. Seattle University really bringing it to the Air Force. Air Force's NC tournament appearance last year. Really good talent, but lost 7 seniors, including a second-round draft pick. Seattle University needs to take control of the WAC conference with a win here. I think for me, though, in specific, it's quality of opportunities. We look at Seattle University, 12 shots versus Air Force 4. I don't know if those 12 shots have resulted in quality opportunities. I wouldn't even say the goal was a quality opportunity. It was kind of a half chance. Well played by Seattle University, glancing header, but it's going to take a lot for Air Force organized. 2 kind of midfield and back lines of 4. Not a lot of space in there. Going to take a special strike or a special combination to really penetrate this defense.
McGlynn, Jesse Ortiz, who's checked in, floats one to the back post. Meza gets a foot to it, keeps it in play. Meza off the right post. Ricochets off a defender's head. Bussey trips over the ball.
Now that's a striker's attempt. A 0 angle. 20% chance. He just decides to have a go and
floated ball for McGlynn. Hey, look, every proper striker has never had the ball inside the penalty area and not liked their chances no matter where they are.
No, I think you're close enough, have a go, right? All these strikers will have you believe. I mean, I can't imagine. I played on the left wing for my career. And every now and again you get an opportunity to shoot from 5 yards, 7 yards out. You may miss, but the striker's always going to yell at you for not cutting it back.
Air Force with the throw in here. Heaved in by Agadoo. Miyoka loses out to Meza, still pushes it through, finds Traeger. They wanted to go quickly in space to find Bussey. Reese Cook. Smacked away by James Morris.
Ortiz is one of these guys, right? He was kind of a top 11 recruit from the nation's perspective. I can see this kid being a phenomenal player on a 120 by 80 field, but we're talking about Seattle University 110 by 70. The space is tighter. Looking for Ortiz, with his vision and his technical ability to provide a little bit of that 1-2 passing through the box. I know it sounds like a little thing, but when I played on the Sounders field, and it is enormous, as big as it can get. Seattle University's field is not nearly that big.
Morris turns, has an edge on Dove. Here's gone for goal, and likewise with yet another save.
Some people have said the English Premier League EPL has shrunk their fields from 120 by 80, like kind of Serie A, to 110 by 70 to create a little bit. It's not 110 by 70 isn't a tight field per se. But I got to tell you, 120 by 80 is massive. And the pace of the game can really slow down. And Some people think the appeal of the 110 by 70 is really... Do you know anything about that, Andrew? You're kind of a purveyor of the game.
Well, if I had to guess, right, you force tighter quarters, you probably force more passes on the ground, which reduces kick and chase. Kick and chase is a very effective strategy, but it's not exactly the easiest on the eyes. Hard break up the side, ball held in play as it rolls under McCoskey.
Nor is easy on the eyes, nor is 30 passes around the back before you start moving forward.
Meza brings that ball down expertly. Did it take a touch on its way through? It is not. Out for a goal kick.
And that's Meza's strength, right? Meza's not a burner, meaning he doesn't have top-end speed to get into space. But his first touch is excellent, and the ability to strike the ball is first rate. You expect him to do a little bit better with that opportunity.
McGlynn going through from Morris. Dove closing down. Drops that ball back. Drops it too far, and Mioka clears it away. One right back by a charging Hal Uteritz. Straight up to McGlynn. McGlynn's first touch is too much.
And I've heard good kind of Seattle family, like that's what they call it. There was an article in the Seattle Times about, Pete Fewing and Jamie Clark, and like Pete Fewing being the first family of Seattle soccer. I'm not sure quite what that means, but I guess people that I've talked to that are in the first family, they think Hal Uteritz is, as Seattle University goes, Hal Uteritz goes. His ability to get forward, create. I don't know if I'm in that first family, so who is that first family? Smetzer, Coach Fewing, Chance Fry, guys like that, right? Like Pete Hattrip for sure. Kind of the guys that have created the culture of soccer around this city. Frank Barton.
Well, certainly, it is a town with a very rich and unique soccer tradition. Low ball swept in there. Dove bats it down.
I think for a lot of us that grew up here, Andrew, we're probably coached by some of those first Sounders. The Sounders that played in the Kingdom, Frank Barton and Tony Chersky, those guys. So many of them played for Fewing. And that means a lot to me, right? That these guys that have produced sons that are good players, McAllister, have put their trust in Coach Fewing.
Ortiz trying to go over the top for McGlynn. McGlynn can't bring it down.
I was not from the first family of Seattle University soccer. I was coached by a guy that was fortunate enough. He came from Thailand. He was apparently, you don't know. I got no proof, but apparently he played for the Thai national team. He was 5'5", but
Bussey's cross. That's a high ball to the back post. Dimidio goes at Kasim, and Kasim tips it up and holds the rebound.
You know what this guy told me to do? He told me to juggle. He said, you got to juggle. You got to learn how to juggle. Best thing that could have happened to me as a player, and I assume it's a lot of these guys have been coached by former Sounders players, and kind of the quality of this region's soccer has been dictated by that generation, and Pete Fewing is one of those guys.
Meza thinking about goal number 2. Jared Dove had other ideas. Acton Petronotis fighting his way forward. Here's Dimidio. Giuliano Daniel ahead for Bussey. Bussy, a low ball, and Kasim makes another stop, this time at the near post. And that leads to the first corner of the match for the visitors and for a double substitution for them as well.
And I think Air Force has been fine. I think any team that loses 7 seniors and an MLS draft pick, I think that's rare from Air Force. It probably doesn't come across very often. In fact, that player was drafted by the Sounders in a pretty high round, right, Andrew?
Yeah, Tucker Bone last season. Austin Dewey, another player of theirs, playing professional soccer right now. Cross whipped in, sent right back out the far touchline.
You know, able to attract some good talent. How easy to refill that top-level talent, you know, knowing the service requirements and so on and so forth. It's interesting.
Another early cross. Westra tips it clear. Controlled here by Tyler Johnson, the recent substitute. Johnson, his cross blocked by Westra. Domidio. Still loose, a sliding challenge from Alex Acton Petronotis. Won't matter, the flag's up for offside.
Yeah, but better from Air Force, right? Like getting bodies forward. I think what you're looking for from Air Force, I think organized, making it difficult. But does this team have something special, that extra something special that is going to create that scoring opportunity? And for Seattle University, it's always been the question for me is, does this team have something special to create that scoring opportunity? It's fine. It's good in possession. I'm sure they can great in keep away in practice. But can they score goals?
Well, to that point, Arnie, obviously we know Pete Fewing. We know he won't be content to try to sit on a 1-0 lead for the remaining 33 minutes of this contest. But at the same time, Air Force's best success so far has come on the counter. So how do you strike that balance between wanting to sit in, knowing that you're up a goal and forcing your opponent to come to you, but also knowing that if you get too complacent and do give up a goal, then you haven't been pressing for a second, maybe a third, as there's a free kick given to Air Force.
Yeah, I think it's a balance. I think it's, you keep your 4 back. I think you got to be a little bit more. When you're committing 6 back like Seattle University does typically in the Uteritz and Avila Good, I think you got to give free rein to one of them, right? I don't like the 6 back for me. I think Seattle University was better in a diamond. When they committed 5 back and kind of 2 wingers in a Rivas and a, easy for me to say, in a Roll Don. But I feel like they think 6 back is a bit safer. But also why we haven't experienced the goals that we're used to in years past, right? I mean, it's you don't quite have enough creativity up top. But I would be interested in seeing him moving into more of that diamond formation. With, let's say that you put Uteritz in the back and you put a Avila Good out wide right. Maybe Declan McGlynn out wide left, and ability to get the ball a little bit deeper and drive. And then a Noe Meza up top. I don't know. I don't get paid anything for doing these games, but Coach Fewing, he's thinking about it. Nate Dalagon, they're thinking about these things all the time.
No shortage of preparation here in the Red Hawks camp. Pete Fewing has made his first change of the match. He did it in the 59th minute. That is the substitute Burke Failing, who was challenging for the ball just now.
And Quinn was a freshman on the team a couple years back. Burke is his brother. Really, really good production at Memphis. Besides a come back home and started the first game of the year. I mean, that talks about the competition on this squad. Also talk about a guy named Harrison Kuntz. Number 23, played at Clemson for 2 years. Really high-profile program. Provides some good moments for Seattle University. Has not seen the field so far. For me, I see Ortiz as, they play him as an attacking guy. I see him more as a defensive midfielder, ability to spray the ball. Hope he proves me wrong with an opportunity to score here. Certainly had his share this year.
You saw there on their screen a moment ago, Redhawks head coach Pete Fewing having words with Alejandro Mariscal, our center referee.
Yeah, and I think this is your pair here, Actor-Notis and Burgess. Really nice chemistry between that back two.
McGlynn finds Failing. That ball up in the air. Uteritz gets ahead to it. Westra can't get a foot to it, however. Ortiz controls the ball outside the penalty area. The Redhawks look to reset. Ortiz goes outside of the left foot. Uteritz spins off a challenge and is dispossessed by a retreating Bussey.
Yeah, really good build-up by Seattle University. Ortiz trying to just provide a little right to left English on that ball to Uteritz. Get deflected, and that's just enough to take the edge off of that attack.
Lathan Spadafora back on for Air Force. Spadafora, the one who had that chance, drew Kasim out of the goal. Had an open net, but wound up rolling it wide of the left post. And here come the Redhawks. The cross in. McGlynn was thinking about the bike for a moment.
Yeah, I hate that pullback. It's just allows the defenders to set. You got to play that ball where the defenders' backs are away from the goal. That little delay provides them a little bit of ability to turn their backs. And
Uteritz comes near side to Westra. Ortiz, Morris. Morris is gone for goal. Can't put any venom behind it, though.
That's what I've talked about so often. What's the difference between this year and last year for Seattle University? It's that ability to diversify their attack. Last year they were more balanced. Left, come down the left flank, come down the right flank, combine down the middle. It just hasn't happened this year. Although, I would, to their credit, I think tonight has been a bit better.
Demidio loses out to Westra. Ortiz dribbling into the middle of the field. Acton Patronotis chops it down the line. Uteritz in transition finds Failing. Failing's cross. Sailed in. And I believe it was Demidio.
Well, that's kind of Failing's calling card. Seattle University getting him a space, 1v1 ability. Really nice move. Just unfortunate not to pick out the final ball.
Avila Good finds Morris. Ortiz wants the ball through. Ortiz on his left foot.
That's interesting. Morris, he's provided more of that post presence that Seattle University just hasn't had, right? They can play him in. More creative, stronger, it seems like. Plays a back heel there. Ortiz, I don't know. Was he going for a shot or was he going for a cross to the back post? I think a shot.
I think he'll probably claim whichever wound up being the better option from the way that ball went. But Seattle U just clicking right now. They're finding those spaces, those channels for the passes are open. They just haven't put that final cherry on top.
Yeah, I think what Seattle University's good. They play into Morris. So, I don't think Meza quite provided that ability to hold guys off. Morris's ability to, big, strong freshman, can hold that ball up and play runners runner off. So University well served to do more of that.
Acton Petronotis up to Morris. Holding off Agadou there.
So as if I had a blueprint here. So that's you playing that ball into Morris. Air Force doing a nice job. I mean, you expect these guys to be fit, don't you? Just running around all the time.
And at altitude,
the academy,
too.
At altitude.
Ortiz, a chance to press forward here. He slides that ball to McGlynn. The flag stays down. Failing wants the drop. He gets it. Failing's ball to the back post. Uteritz is there! 2-0 Seattle U. And a picture-perfect ball in from Failing to Uteritz at the back post has extended Seattle U's lead.
And that's phenomenal. I mean, I watch a ton of English Premier League games with my son, Anders, that loves to get up and watch games with me. That ball's played into space, drop back. Kevin De Bruyne whipping that ball to the back post. It didn't even be that good of a header. I mean, the goalie was already in the goal.
Well, let's take another look at it here. You just see Failing just pick up his head, knows exactly where he wants to drop it, and it's a perfect ball, Arnie.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. It's, we saw Hal Uteritz on the back post time after time late last year when he got his opportunities. Once again, he's there. But credit to the Seattle University offense to rotate that ball. They see nothing, play the ball back, whip that ball. It's a clinical ball into the back post and a nice header for Seattle University to go up comfortably.
Kasim catches that ball in from Agadou.
And I'm telling you, I was worried about Air Force until I called Coach Fielding at 4:30. I asked him who should be in the Hall of Fame this year. I'm on the Hall of Fame committee. He didn't provide me much guidance there, but he did tell me that Air Force lost 7 seniors, including, maybe it wasn't including the number 2, the second round draft pick. I think they lost a lot of talent, Andrew. And it's not quite the same side.
Outshot 19-7 so far here in the 68th minute. They've just had difficulty getting on the ball tonight. And a large part of that is to this possession style that Seattle U plays.
I think Air Force has been fine. I think they've been relatively organized, but just not seeing anything kind of special out of Air Force. Everything seems to be pretty direct. And
that's creative from Bussey. Bussey dancing through here, gone against Burgess. Burgess slides to ground. Uteritz clears it away.
Always the broadcaster's curse, right? Nothing special, and then they come up with a little flip into space. But perhaps it has to do with something about being down 2-0, and they got to make something happen.
Still time to do it in just under 22 minutes to play.
And this is a side last year that did not win the tournament. I think Grand Canyon won the tournament last year, but Air Force, on the strength of their schedule and ability, was able to get into the tournament.
Towering header from Uteritz for the partial clearance. Second ball blocked by Failing. Appeals for handball. It definitely came off Burgess' arm, and yes, it took a moment. Was he inside the area? Alejandro Mariscal is given a penalty.
All right, this is where we need our WAC digital network to come up with a VAR scenario. That's on you. That is on you. Let's look at that replay.
Well, the arm of Nkosi Burgess was down, but it was away from his body, and the ball bounced off the ground, came up, struck his hand there. I'm going to see a yellow card given here, I believe, to Akili Kasim. The clock is stopped in the 69th minute.
It's like, what a change in momentum. I mean, Air Force has nothing going.
Here's another look.
We got a wide look at this.
It'll be toward the right edge of your screen here. And you see it there, bounce up and into his arm.
I don't know. I mean, to me, it's not. Is it clear and obvious? I don't know. Nonetheless, Akili Kasim is 40-inch vertical. If he guesses the right way, I would not put this past him to save this opportunity for Seattle University.
Kasim has already made one penalty save this year. Won't make another, though. Quinn Matulis converts the penalty in the 69th minute, and it's a one-goal game.
I think Coach Fewing has got to be just absolutely incensed by this. We saw the replay. Air Force just has not been dangerous tonight. I think very fortunate to get that call, Andrew. You're a referee, though. Tell me.
Well,
tell me your thoughts.
By the letter of the law, it's unfortunate because that one could be interpreted either way.
Why?
And because handball is a mess, Arnie, as far as the laws of the game are concerned. They tried to clean it up in the new laws for this year, and it hasn't gone particularly well for them. In that instance, really it is going to come back to who you have as your referee every single time. And in that case, Mariscal thought he saw enough there.
I think mostly it's you want to see a close game. I can't say that. I might get fined for that. Seattle University been dominating, 19 shots to 9. An opportunity where, you got Nkosi Burgess at the 17-yard line with his hand, I don't know, 4 inches out from his body?
Thereabouts.
I don't know if that's providing opportunity, but let's hope it doesn't cost Seattle University the win, right?
Still a long way to go. And the Red Hawks still clicking well offensively, but now this game being played on a tighter margin.
No doubt. Yeah, it's 2-1. You felt like it was completely comfortable. Not a lot of danger from Air Force. Now no room for mistakes.
James Morris. Overlapped here from McCoskey. Loose in the box, comes into the hands of Likewise.
I like that from McCoskey. I think so many times, we talk about the Real Salt Lake legend goalkeeper. He would, so many times in those scenarios, it would cheat off the box. I like McCoskey trying to have a go right there. I scored 1 million goals like that in my over 40s leagues. Goalkeepers creeping.
Morris. Morris is going to have a go. Likewise, scuffles to his right and covers it up.
I like Morris. Got that wrist brace on. Got that looking like a PBA bowler. Coach Fearing was disappointed when he wasn't able to play early in the year, but yeah, can't play. Can't play with a wrist injury. He's just come out gangbusters. 4 goals, maybe 5 in a 3-game stretch. Billy Colello, when I was telling the story early, what he liked is so many of these guys, coming out of college, they get an opportunity 20 yards out. They're going to just have a strike, have a go as hard as you can. What does Morris do? He bends that ball up and around. And to him, that was kind of like, that's a different level.
Another sliding challenge from Nikosi Burgess, and dangerous headed through ball there. Wester retreats and plays it away. But Arnie, when you're dealing with a center back, and they do have a moment like that, and they have a penalty called against them, whether it was or wasn't a fair penalty in your mind, what has to go into that center back to have the confidence to continue to make tackles if they feel like they've already been caught out a little bit by a referee?
Well, I think if you know a center back, it's they're full of swagger and confidence, and they probably think it didn't happen in the first place, and it was a bad call in the first place. So continue on. I think Burgess and Acton Petronotis have earned that right this season. I mean, it's been an interesting year, right? It's been super good defensively, like 0 goals allowed, and then in one game, they'll erupt and get, like a University of Washington or whatever.
Ortiz looking for Morris over the top. Nice first touch by Morris. Dove clears it away. Up as far as Matulis.
But for me, you just continue on. I think, that center back pairing seems to be so key. I mean, you see it, right, Andrew? I mean, it's to me, it's for the Sounders, it's Kim and our man from Panama. That clearly works a little bit better. They're in a little bit better concert. I think Arroyo, it's for me, Acton Petronotis and Burgess, they understand themselves a bit better. That's the way I like to see it.
Air Force pressing forward here. McCoskey, the partial clearance up to McGlynn. Ortiz, a chance to pick up his head here. McGlynn going to give chase to this ball. Won't have a chance to keep it in play, but how about the technical ability of Jesse Ortiz there with 3 defenders around him and the composure? Just tap that ball back and know where he had space to go with it.
Yeah, he's been an interesting one. He's a guy that could have gone professional out of high school, and top 11 guy coming to college. Great player, no question. I think that Seattle University's better with him on the pitch. For me, it's what position is he best served. Sometimes I believe he should be in a position like an Avila Good or be on the ball a little bit more, be able to play a little bit more diagonal.
Switch into space, finds Nexu. Here come the Falcons. Shot blocked, came off the attacker's arm. And now we'll go out for a goal kick, and
crowd calling for everything handball now. Maybe Seattle University should be taking their own opportunities and looking for their handballs. But, Ortiz, for me, it's where's he best serve? Where does he, clearly good player, clearly sees the game faster than the majority of the players out there. sees the next pass faster. What's the best position for him in this Seattle University attack?
Well, Alejandro Mariscal's blown for handball there, but that was the same distance and the same amount of time that it came off the attacking player before it struck the defender as the last call just down there. And Pete Fewing is making exactly that point, and I have to wonder if he might be about to get booked for it. It won't be Pete. It'll be one of the assistant coaches over on the bench.
Who was it? Billy Colello? Billy Colello on the bench, maybe. Maybe Vince Volpe. This game here would be just a crime. I mean, Seattle University absolutely dominating possession, shots on goal. I can't even remember a quality shot on goal from the Air Force Academy here. But yet the score's 2-1. We talk about a Jesse Ortiz. For me, Andrew, to complete my statement, it was, is he better in a Uteritz or an Avila good role, like a 6, number 6 defensive midfielder role where he can spray that ball diagonally, versus that role like a, you know, kind of a 9 or 11. It's interesting, right? I mean, it's, for me, you like Collins in there. You like failing their ability to get forward. Noe Meza ability to strike the ball. But there's certainly got to be a place for Ortiz.
Air Force forced to step that pressure higher up the pitch. Win the ball back after that header from, the long ball from Kasim. Uteritz up for McGlynn. McGlynn fights his way through. Declan McGlynn's on his left foot. He's ridden down from behind. Penalty.
And that's kind of Declan McGlynn's strength. I mean, this guy's confidence on the ball, his ability to get forward, put his body between defenders and the ball, brings him down in the box. Who's going to step up and take this?
Jared Dove, the man called for the penalty infraction, just ran down Declan McGlynn from behind inside the area. It looks like it's going to be McGlynn.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like, you talk about it as guys, right? Like, the guy that gets brought down, it's never a good sign when that guy takes a penalty. I hope I'm wrong here. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, McGlynn is 2 for 2 on the season.
But Declan McGlynn, has aspirations to be a pro. 7 goals on the season. Wants the statistics.
McGlynn saved by Likewise at the right post.
That's what I worry about. It's that curse a little bit, right? That guy that gets taken down thinks he should be the one to take it. It's a bit of an ego thing, huh?
Certainly him being 2 for 2. I believe he's the only one to strike a penalty for the Red Hawks this season. Well, Noe Meza has taken 1, but Meza is not on the pitch right now.
I'm just telling you about the curse, the guy that takes the penalty, or he draws the penalty, should not be the one that takes the penalty. I'm just saying.
Didn't work out there, and
it's also the curse of the left footer taking the penalty.
As if on cue, here is Noe Meza back on for Jesse Ortiz.
That's frustrating. I mean, that was a terrible PK by Declan McGlynn. Just weak, low to the right corner. Could have put the game away.
Instead, it remains 2-1 here. Just under 11 minutes to play. Redhawks to take a corner.
I just think my point is that, you get into a lot of egotistical stuff when it comes to PKs, right? Guys want to pad their stats, and it's typically not the guy that wins the PK that should take it.
Glenn's ball finds Meza at the near post. Second effort struck to the back post, and that winds up on top of goal.
And I'm talking statistically. But nonetheless, Seattle University enjoying a 2-1 lead. Could be 3-1 fairly easily. 22-11 shot margin. Is this going to come back to bite them?
McGlynn upended right in front of his own bench. And we are going to have extracurriculars over there on the far side. The yellow card already out. No idea who Alejandro Mariscal is issued it to. I have to imagine it's on Matt Benson, the player that took down McGlynn, who has been completely poleaxed right in front of the Seattle University technical area.
Yeah, never a good situation. You pull a guy down like that in front of the bench. Tempers flaring for sure. Declan McGlynn absolutely frustrated by his lack of execution on the penalty kick. Wants to make amends. Gets crushed. I mean, it's difficult out here. I mean, there's not a lot of boundary out here. You got a cement barrier on the far touch line and just a normal fence on the other touch line. He goes sailing into the Seattle University bench.
Here's another look at the foul. You see it right there at the edge of your screen, and the issue is that McGlynn, you can just see, just gets tattooed right into the stanchion of the covered bench over there, and those things are not particularly light. Clock is stopped with 9:43 to play. The Air Force coaches are saying that they want to sub, and I think they're being told that they can't at the moment. Doug Hill, in his 13th year at the Air Force Academy, now having a chat with referee Alejandro Mariscal. And the sub will be allowed. They're pulling Benson right away.
That's good urgency coming off the field, huh? Never seen a guy run off the field that quickly, but they're down and it's 9 minutes left and off we go.
And one of the Air Force assistant coaches was just booked. I think that might have been assistant coach Kevin Doyle over there on the far sideline, but I'm not certain. So we've had an assistant coach from each team booked, as well as a player apiece. Keely Kasim in Alejandro Mariscal's book, and then most recently Matt Benson. Meanwhile, Redhawks waiting to restart the free kick here in the 81st minute.
I got to say, for Seattle University, too close for comfort right here. I think you have to say they've dominated this game, Andrew. I don't know if I'm being biased or not, but not a ton comes from Air Force, and I think a fortunate handball opportunity.
Noe Meza going to get booked here.
Referee possibly losing his cool here. Trying to make this, it's possible, Andrew. I don't know. I know I'm egging you on here a little, Andrew. I'm egging you on. Is the referee making this game? Can it happen where a referee is trying to make the game closer than it should be?
I don't think you'll find many referees at this level that have a vested interest in trying to take the match more interesting. I think that is a pretty soft yellow. Alejandro Mariscal is likely given it, even though Meza did win the ball cleanly. He came from slightly behind. You could make the argument that there's a reckless challenge in that, even if you do win the ball and do win it that cleanly. I think that yellow card is more to try to send a message to the 22 players out on the pitch that he doesn't want to see too many players leaving their feet for challenges like that.
Certainly you're not super interested in challenges at the 80-yard line in the opposition. You know what I mean? It's interesting, It's getting a little heated. 9 minutes left in the game, 22 shots to 11.
And this is what you're going to see for the next couple of minutes, is Alejandro Mariscal is probably going to whistle every possible thing that can be an infraction just to take some of the bite out of this game.
Yeah, no doubt. But, I think he could have – I just don't know if it was a deserving penalty call. I'm biased. There's no question. I'm not getting paid to do this. So, felt like it was a bit of a soft penalty. Hopefully Seattle University can kind of see this one out. Air Force has been good in recent years. They should have won it last year, ended up in the final. But the truth of it is that they're home in their home court this year, the WAC final, the WAC tournament. It's a huge advantage for them playing at altitude and familiar confines. Seattle University, for me, it's have they done enough? Do they need to win the WAC conference title, or can they get in with what their preseason schedule has been? Can they get into the tournament with the strength of their performance? I think it's been a mixed bag, Andrew.
Well, certainly, if there's one universal truth to college coaches, is that play in conferences that have automatic bids attached to their postseason tournament, they will all tell you they would much rather just win the championship and lock up the automatic bid as opposed to wait and see what happens on selection day with the at-large bids.
Yeah, but I think these conferences like the WAC or the conference that like the Summit League that Denver plays in, they try to load up their conference in hopes that they can do enough. For me, it's as Seattle University, they tried it this year. Denver tried it this year. But for both squads, have they done enough? I don't know. It's close. I think the one that hurts them is that University of Washington game, to be honest, right? The 3-0 game, the Derby.
That ball takes an unkind bounce for the Red Hawks. And Kasim will be happy to see it take too large a touch off of Traeger there.
I said in my broadcast against University of Washington, I said, University of Washington looks the part to me. They look the part. They got the goalkeeper. They got the press. They got the number 9. They got the number 10. And sure enough, they are number 1 in the nation in the poll.
Failing ball in. Big impact along the far sideline. Failing has the ball back. Meza. Acton Petronotis. Red Hawks looking to possess.
Seattle University playing very conservative now. They're sitting both Uterets and Avila Good very deep, with their 4 behind. Trying to play for this win. Should have been more comfortable. 2-0. I think it was a questionable handball. And Seattle University misses a PK. Andrew, I was watching We Are Sunderland this week. Have you seen that Netflix documentary?
I have, yeah. It's
a train wreck.
Good.
It's a bit of a train wreck, huh? What happens when you just kind of lose control of a club. One of the guys said, you know, it's probably the best opportunity you're going to have to score. So, kind of puts it in perspective, doesn't it, Andrew?
Yeah, absolutely. Morris whistled for the free kick.
Anymore when I take PKs, even in my, you know, I still get a bit nervous even in my old, 44 years old, Andrew. I still hit it as hard as I can. I think that's the best way to score PKs. Just strike it as hard as you can.
Well, I got to tell you, Arnie,
right down the middle.
As a Gaelic football player, the good news for me is even if I sky it over the bar, that's still worth a point.
Is it?
All right. It's just worth 2 more if I happen to put it in the net.
All right.
Takes a lot of the pressure off from 12 yards out.
I just think the goalie's going to move one way or the other. Most likely. Just put it high and down the middle as hard as you can.
Uteritz challenge for the ball. Referee says fairly. Failing, can't turn in time to reach it. Here's Matulis, the goal scorer for Air Force.
Is that Lightning?
There have been periodic flashes tonight. Referee says there's nothing in that challenge.
We got to get through this game for the Lightning. No, it's probably good, huh? We've already played it.
Big switch into space. Leads to the throw-in for Seattle U. Agadou felt he was fouled on that sliding challenge from Hal Uteritz a moment ago.
That's been interesting, right? Like not a lot of substitutions for Seattle University tonight.
Agadou heads it away from Morris. Another Redhawks throw-in.
Seems like they're settling a little bit to Morris in the front. They like Meza, they like McGlynn, Buchanan a bit, right? Where does Burke Failing fit? And where does an Ortiz fit? It's interesting.
Meza brings it down. He has a go. Likewise is there.
I like that from Ortiz, but just pull that to the back post. That's Ortiz in a nutshell, right? That's his special skills, his ability to finish. Records on a shot on goal, but not a goal.
Air Force steaming forward here. Here's Nekshu. Cut it wide for Hill. Johnson looking for the overlap. Ball's gone out. It's a goal kick. No, pardon me. The referee's giving a free kick for the Redhawks.
Coach Fielding, when we talk about Westra, left-footed player, that's been their issue, right? I mean, they had Ivory Randall as their left back last year, natural left footer, played at St. Mary's, transferred to Seattle University. Good left-sided midfielder / defender. University of Washington, they play Castrione.
McGlynn turns. He'll try to sprint onto that ball. Not going to get there. Likewise, forced off his line, though, to clear it away.
I certainly like Westra back there. You know, the question mark is he athletic enough to play against the best teams? I think Air Force has been up there as the class of the Western Athletic Conference. He's holding his own.
60 seconds remain in the contest. Redhawks going to take their time. Game of keep away in the corner. Turned over to Air Force. 44 seconds. Can they mount one last attack? They come to Tyler Johnson. Agadou. Poked away by Meza. Agadou forced to retreat. 30 seconds now. Johnson turns. It's gone out. Redhawks throw in.
And that might just do it. 21 seconds. Always seems like in collegiate soccer, it always come down to one last opportunity.
Westra throws it in with 12 seconds remaining. Agadou sells out on the header. And on the dead ball,
interesting.
The game will end. So the Redhawks, as the rain and the heavens just open here at Championship Field. These teams getting pelted now with new rainfall. But Seattle University come off 2-1 winners against the Air Force Falcons.
Yeah, and I think an interesting one. You know, it's Air Force has been a strong challenger for the Western Athletic Conference Championship. It's the title is going to play on their home turf, but the fact of the matter is, losing 7 seniors and 1 second-round draft pick, that creates a challenge. Seattle University looking the part tonight.
Well, it's time now for the Babar and Central Smoke player of the game. Tonight's player is Hal Uteritz for his game-winning header. Knocked in at the back post in the 66th minute. Bring your ticket stub to Babar or Central Smoke for 10% off your order. Well,